So the IEC says about 94,000 people will cast their votes in the comfort of their homes in KwaZulu-Natal this weekend. Overall, about 5.4 million eligible voters in the province are expected to cast their ballots, including special votes and those cast on Monday. The province has over 77,000 voting stations. Our reporter Ayanda Mhlongo is live for us at the IEC Results Operation Centre in the port city of Durban. She joins us now live. Ayanda, what are you witnessing there?
Yeah, very good morning to you, Blaine. Good afternoon, I should say. Good afternoon to our viewers at home. Well, we are coming to you live, Blaine, from the Results Operating Centre here in Durban. In fact, we're stationed at Mayville in the heart of the Durban CBD. And of course, as you can possibly tell behind us, Blaine, it is still quiet, but come Monday, it's definitely going to be a buzz of activity here at the Results Operating Centre. But of course, while it's quiet here, a lot is happening across the province of KwaZulu-Natal. As we know, a record number of special votes applications were made in the province, over 167,000. And just to go through those numbers, over 94,000 of those are going to be home visits, and around 77,000 are going to be visits or votes that are going to be cast at the voting stations. Of course, we've just had an update from the IEC a short while ago in terms of what is happening in the ground in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And there are some areas of concern, Blaine. I can tell you and our viewers that in the area of Camperdown, which is just outside Pietermaritzburg, 8 voting stations there were unable to open on time due to a community protest. Police deployments, of course, have been sent to those areas. IEC officials saying that when they arrived, angry community members had locked the gates with padlocks at those 8 voting stations. But I said police officers have been deployed to those areas, and the update from the IEC is that those voting stations have been opened, and the special voting process is going to be able to get underway in those areas. Another area of concern was in Newcastle, where there was an incorrect printing of the candidates. The IEC, of course, again, they're saying that they are working to sort out that problem. Other challenges with regards to stability in the province, areas picked up were in Bergville and the King district, and that is in the area of Richards Bay. The IEC, of course, Blaine, also saying that they also had challenges in terms of delivery of material, in particular PPEs, which were not delivered on time in Bergville and the King area. And speaking to the provincial electoral officer in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, Foti Masinga, saying that importantly, in fact, Blaine, saying to us that masks this year around are going to be as important as the ballot. And so the IEC unable to start on time there until those PPEs and the electoral material had arrived at those stations. But underway now, the special voting process has started at those voting stations. Of course, Blaine, security was going to be a major issue in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, as we know. That the province had a number of hotspots that had been identified by the police, by the security agencies. And what we can tell you in terms of the breakdown from the IEC, looking at the high-risk areas, there are 109 high-risk areas that have been identified in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, 97 of those here in the eThekwini Metro. And what is going to happen there is that no less than 6 police officers are going to be deployed to each of those 109 police voting stations, I beg your pardon, in those high-risk areas. Followed to that are 815 classified voting stations as medium-risk areas, and no less than 4 officers at each of those police stations. Of course, there are also going to be additional police deployments who are going to respond to the various areas if there is a need to. But apart from the challenges, starting off this morning, the IEC saying that the process is underway. IEC officials are out and about visiting various homes for those people that have made the applications for the special votes. And of course, those people that are going to be going to the voting stations have been opened. And those where there are security concerns, additional police officers have been deployed to those areas. Of course, as you know, Blaine, that we will have the province of KwaZulu-Natal covered. We've got our journalists across the province of KwaZulu-Natal that will be bringing us a coverage of all that will be happening around the voting stations. We are going to get an update later on this afternoon, so we'll be able to update our viewers in terms of the first day of the voting station, how far the IEC officials were able to get through the numbers of people that were expected to cast their votes today. Blaine?
Look, I guess special voting days like this allows the IEC to, in part, test their infrastructure, the logistics, the human capacity ahead of the big day. And one of the things that was mentioned when we caught the tail end of that briefing was the electricity issues as well. And the Electoral Commission, Ayanda, saying they're confident that all will run smoothly. I know there's backup lights at voting stations on election day, but what happens this weekend?
Yes, certainly, Blaine. In fact, there were 80 voting stations that had been identified by the IEC that did not have electricity. There were others that did not have water, and 7 that did not have access to network. And particularly, I think the important would have been without water, electricity, and the toilets. The IEC has said that they are going to be sending them, or those voting stations are going to have lights, rechargeable lights that are going to be sent to those voting stations. Today is not their biggest concern, Blaine, because the voting stations are going to be closing at 5 o'clock. However, as the provincial electoral officer was explaining to us, that in some of the voting stations, while the cutoff today is 5 o'clock, but for the electoral staff that is out conducting the home visits, they still need to come back to the voting stations and capture those votes on the voters' roll. So there is still a process that needs to happen at the voting stations before they can wrap for the day. And so their concern was that might then it will then take place after 5 into 6 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, and it will be dark. So that is why they have ensured that there are these lights that have been sent to those areas. And of course, those that did not have toilets, for example, they are going to send them portable toilets. And where there is no water, they are going to be sending deploying water tankers to those areas. So they're saying that they have made provisions for all those areas where there are going to be concerns. And as you said, Blaine, of course, today and tomorrow is going to be an opportunity for the IEC to test not only its systems, but also to see where the challenges are, and so that they are able to deal with the problem areas. But the update from them is that they have sent all the necessary material to those voting stations, and whatever needs that the IEC officers need in those particular areas, everything has been sent to those areas. But as I said, Blaine, at 4 o'clock, we should be able to get an update from the IEC in terms of those areas where there were challenges, what is likely going to happen if they aren't able to resolve them. Blaine?
Look, they seem to be confident, isn't it? And that's the sense I'm getting throughout the country in terms of IEC officials. We shall see. I guess is the 3 most loaded words in politics and science, etc., etc. But no doubt the likes of assignment editor Ayanda Mhlongo and the team there will be keeping you up to date with the very latest from the provincial rock right there in the port city of Durban. Ayanda Mhlongo live for us there.